buckets, okay? So this is the most challenging part about Facebook ads, is to figure this out. When you know what your buckets are, this is a secret. You don't want to tell anybody about this. This is your business's intellectual property, all right? So when I have audiences, I don't go around telling everyone, here's exactly what I might talk about the broad audience. I won't say exactly what I typed in to build this audience, all right? So you want to break up your audiences into buckets. And I think I have an example on the next page here. Actually, I'm going to go back. Actually, I want to do an example with you guys. Who wants to work with me and break up their audience into buckets? Yeah.
So car loan program, only in BC.
So a British Columbia car loan program. Okay. So anything else about your audience? You want to get specific? Okay.
Between 25 to 45.
Okay.
And likely, have bad credit, no credit, don't own their own home.
Okay. Student?
Family or
Student or, yeah, okay. Okay, so there's some stuff to work there. Okay, so there's lots we can work with there. So, okay, so the first audience is going to be, I'm going to go with students. Okay, let's go between 21 to 25 that are currently in college or university. We might, because it's local, we're going British Columbia, which is better than Vancouver, okay? But we might go one level deeper than that, depending on what size the audience. Remember, I want to keep it about 50,000 or less. And so you might go to something like they have an interest in maybe, I don't know, I'm thinking something around debt or something like that, all right? Another one could be, for example, you can go with parents that just had a new child, right? You can go with another one that could be, right? We're just trying to break up this audience into various buckets, right? Because it's like everyone kind of drives a car, right? So it's a very broad market to go with, right? So we can go with people who are also married, right? Stuff like that. And so when you start breaking up your audience, you can then start rating your ads towards those audiences as well. All right. So you could say, or you can, let's go with like single mothers as an example, right? So are you a single mother struggling to get from point A to point B? Here's how you can get a car with, blah, 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 right? So that's how you break up your audiences versus just targeting everybody in British Columbia, right? Because everybody could be a potential prospect. By breaking up into smaller buckets, when you start running your ads, you're going to get that higher frequency and people will start seeing your ads on a more regular basis. You're going to notice at first you get a lot of low-hanging fruit. After that, it'll trickle off, and then you're going to get even more customers even later on because they've now seen your content. They're going to start to trust you more and see more of your content of not just your offers, but also the other posts that you're creating on your Facebook page that are getting engagement. You're constantly advertising to these various buckets. You're going to choose 3 to 5 buckets, and not only are you going to engage them, but you're also going to run ads to them to actually take you up on your offers. All right? The real estate market is another interesting one to go with, right? Because a lot of realtors go with a very small farm market, right? So for example, any other realtors in the room? No? We only have one realtor? Yeah, in the back there? What area do you work in? Vancouver? Oh, was that Wendy? Oh, hey, Wendy. Right? So if Vancouver's very broad, right? But let's just say that we want to go with Kitsilano as an area, right? It's a very hot market. So we can go Kitsilano, anyone in Kitsilano over the age of 30, married, and we're going to go with a pin drop. So on locations, you can go based off of a pin drop or based off of postal codes. Okay? So I'm going to go over 30, married, living in Kitsilano within a 10-mile radius. Then I'll create another one that I'll go with. I can go with the same audience, but instead of doing the radius, I can go with postal codes and type in all the postal codes. That would be considered a different audience, right? In Facebook size, right? I can also go with divorced, right? I can go with people who are divorced, maybe divorced women, maybe divorced men, right? Maybe, who else is buying homes right now? Any other realtors can tell me? What's that? People who are retired? Retired? Yeah. Downside? Yeah, absolutely. Right? So it's very easy to break up our audiences into these buckets. So here's an example of something I did with the White Rock Home Show. This was very challenging because it's a local business. White Rock is small. It's very hard to break up these audiences. Right? So this was an event that took place back in June. So here's what I did. I broke it up into these 5 audiences. I've got everyone in White Rock, just people in White Rock. Okay? I did a pin drop. people in Vancouver that are into interior design, people in all of Vancouver that are into home improvement, people in Vancouver who are into gardening, and then this is where I was really trying to get creative, people in Vancouver who watch HD TV. Okay? So those are my 5 buckets, right? Of people who might want to go to a home show. Then we ran the ads. All right? And these are the actual ads. So here is an example of a set of ads that was for the home and garden television. You guys kind of understanding about the buckets thing, breaking up your audiences? Yeah, okay. So now this is getting into creating the ad. So when I create the ads, I don't want to just create one ad. Okay, we're going to create ads in sets of 4. Okay? So the way it works is you're going to create your first ad, yeah, using the formula we talked about, and you're going to make your best guess. You're like, this is the ad I think is going to win. And you're going to test against your assumption. And what you're going to do to test this is you're going to create another variation where you're just going to change one part of the ad. Either the text, either the image, or the call to action. Okay? So right here, this is called our control. Okay? In the advertising world, it's called the control. It's our best guess we think this is going to win. Right here, the only thing that's different is the text. Okay, we might change the question, we might change the copy, we've changed the text, and that's it. Everything else is the same. On this ad here, the only difference between the control and this ad here is the image. That's it. And on this ad over here, the only difference here is down over here on your call to action. Now when you run the ad, if one of these wins, and I'm going to tell you that 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be the control. Right? If one of them wins, you'll also know why it won. Right? If this ad wins, we automatically know this is a good picture and it beat that one. Right? If this, call to action area wins, we know that there was something different here. We wrote something different. We used a different marketing psychology and it was better than all the other ones. And so on, right? And that's how we can start learning and start improving and start lowering our cost per click, lowering our acquisition cost, and really start profiting from Facebook by using this process.